Welcome, everyone, to techdaily.ai. This is the deep dive. Today, we're really digging into something pretty significant for your digital life, the upcoming Google Pixel 10 series, and of course, the very latest with Android 16. Our goal, like always, is to give you a clear picture of what's important, what's maybe surprising, and what it all means for how you use your tech every day. Think of it as your personalized briefing, quick and to the point. But before we dive in, just a quick note. This deep dive is sponsored by StoneFly. They're your trusted solution provider and advisor for things like enterprise storage, backup disaster recovery, hyper-converged VMware, Hyper-V Proxmox clusters, AI servers, SA365, which is a turnkey security appliance, and both public and private cloud. Check out stonefly.com for more info. Okay, let's get into it. All right, let's unpack this. We've gone through, a lot of information, and it seems pretty clear Google is gearing up for a really big release here. The Pixel 10 series looks slated for an August 2025 launch, announcement probably around August 20th, and then hitting shelves maybe just a week later, August 28th. This isn't just, another phone launch, is it?
No, not at all. What's really interesting here is that timing. It lines up perfectly with the 10th anniversary of the Pixel line itself. Remember, it first came out back in 2016, so it really suggests Google sees this as a milestone, a moment to show off, and you can kind of see that ambition in the lineup they're planning.
And yeah, what a lineup. It's not just the usual standard and Pro anymore. We're looking at a standard Pixel 10, a Pixel 10 Pro, a larger Pixel 10 Pro XL, and even a second-gen Pixel 10 Pro Fold. So it's a whole family of devices now, really covering different needs.
Exactly. That expansion, especially adding the Pro XL and getting a second fold out right at launch, that signals Google's a serious intent. They want to compete across the entire premium smartphone market. They're not just, hitting the mainstream or the niche foldable anymore. They're building this tiered offering. It directly challenges Apple and Samsung at pretty much every high-end price and size point.
So it's a strategic push, using the anniversary as a launch pad.
Right. And it's worth mentioning, the budget-friendly Pixel 10a, that's not part of this initial wave. We probably won't see that until spring 2026. So the focus right now is definitely on these flagships.
Okay, so if the insides are getting a major rethink, what about the outside, the design? Were we expecting something radically different for the 10th year, or is Google kind of playing it safe?
Well, radical visual changes are less common these days in smartphones. It looks like Google's sticking with more of an iterative refinement, building on the Pixel 9 series, that signature horizontal camera bar, that's staying on the flagships. It keeps that distinct Pixel look.
Right, that visual identity.
Yeah. And the overall form factor, aluminum frame, glass back, the usual IP68 water resistance, that seems largely consistent. So it should feel familiar, premium in the hand.
Familiar, but polished. Any small tweaks, though? Things that might hint at internal changes?
There are a few minor dimension shifts expected.
Yeah.
Like the camera bump might be slightly thicker, probably to fit some new lenses we can talk about.
Yeah.
And the SIM card tray is rumored to move to the upper left side. Now, these seem small, right? But that SIM tray move, for instance, might mean older Pixel 9 cases won't fit perfectly.
Ah, that's a good practical point for upgraders.
Exactly. Little details, but important.
Now, the display, this is often where we see big jumps. Both the Pixel 10 and 10 Pro are expected to get a 6.3-inch OLED. The Pro XL goes bigger, 6.7 inches. All with that smooth 120 Hz refresh rate, which is kind of standard now. But then there's this peak brightness claim over 2,700 nits. That sounds incredibly bright.
It really is significant. That kind of brightness means fantastic outdoor visibility, even in direct sun, reading your map, checking messages, whatever. It also makes HDR content, like movies and photos, really pop. Way more vibrant colors, deeper blacks.
Okay, so brighter is better outdoors and for media. What about potential downsides like screen flicker? That's something people talk about.
That's a really important point, especially for users sensitive to it. We're hearing strong indications that Google might finally address pulse width modulation, or PWM dimming, with the Pixel 10 series, that rapid flickering some screens use at low brightness. They might introduce DC dimming, which uses constant voltage, or some other alternative.
And why is that flicker a problem for some people?
Well, for some users, it can cause eye strain, headaches, just general discomfort, especially when looking at the screen in dim light for a long time.
Right.
So moving away from PWM could make the display much more comfortable, reducing that visual fatigue. It's a subtle thing, but a really nice potential upgrade for user well-being.
And any word on the fingerprint reader? Still optical.
There's a persistent rumor about a possible switch to an ultrasonic fingerprint reader. Faster, more reliable, especially if your fingers are slightly damp or dirty. That would be a very welcome improvement over the current optical ones.
Definitely. Okay, and colors. People love choosing colors for their phones. What are we hearing there?
Yeah, looks like a split strategy. The standard Pixel 10 might get some really vibrant options. Think ultra blue, limoncello, iris, alongside the usual midnight black. Kind of aiming for that fun, expressive vibe.
Okay, more playful.
Exactly. But the Pro and Pro XL seem to be leaning more towards those subdued premium finishes. Sterling gray, light porcelain, midnight, and a smoky green. More serious, high-end feel.
Makes sense for the Pro line.
Right. And the fold. It might be limited, maybe just sterling gray and smoky green. Could be due to manufacturing challenges with that form factor.
Okay, moving on to what might be the biggest news here, the chip.
Yeah.
The Tensor G5 inside the Pixel 10 series. It's rumored to be Google's first truly custom-designed SFO, right?
Yeah.
And a big manufacturing shift.
Yes, this is potentially monumental. The really compelling part is Google moving away from Samsung Foundry and using TSMC to actually make the Tensor G5.
Why is that such a big deal, moving from Samsung to TSMC?
It's crucial because TSMC's advanced 3-nanometer process, specifically their N3E node, is expected to bring really significant gains in power efficiency and, importantly, thermal management. You know, previous Tensor chips made by Samsung, they've faced criticism for running hot and throttling performance under heavy use. That's been a real pain point.
Right, the overheating complaint. So you're saying this isn't just about raw speed, it's about making the phone run cooler and more consistently performant, addressing that core issue.
Precisely. It's about sustained performance. Early benchmarks from prototypes like the unreleased Pixel 10 Pro Fold are showing up to maybe a 36% jump in multi-core performance and around 17-18% in single-core compared to the current Tensor G4.
Wow, is a noticeable jump.
It is, and it's not just faster apps. It should mean better battery life, too, because it's more efficient. Plus, it's expected to have a new Imagination Technologies, or IMG, GPU.
Okay.
And that brings hardware ray tracing support to a Pixel for the first time.
Right, ray tracing, so better graphics for gaming, more realistic visuals.
Exactly. Puts it right up there with high-end gaming phones in terms of graphical capability.
And pixels are synonymous with AI. What does this new chip mean for the smarts? That's always been Google's edge.
Yeah, this gets to Google's core focus. The Tensor Processing Unit, the TPU inside the G5, is reportedly 40% more powerful. Now, that translates to maybe about a 14% real-world AI speed boost, but what's really transformative, potentially, is that it might handle some on-device AI model training, not just inference.
Okay, break that down. Inference versus training on the phone itself.
Sure. Inference is basically using an existing AI model to do something like identify an object in a photo, translate speech, that sort of thing. The model is already trained. Training is the process of actually building or refining those AI models by feeding them data. Being able to do some of that on the device means your phone could learn your specific habits, your preferences more directly.
Without sending data to the cloud constantly.
Exactly. It could lead to more sophisticated, personalized AI features that adapt to you, all while keeping more data private and making responses potentially faster.
Interesting. Okay, what about memory and storage across this bigger lineup?
The standard Pixel 10 will likely stick with 12 GB of RAM, which is honestly plenty for most people.
Right.
The Pro models, though, might offer configurations up to 16 GB. That caters more to power users, heavy multitaskers, mobile gamers, video editors.
And storage.
Storage options will vary. The base model, probably 128 GB or 256 GB. The Pro version's climbing higher, 512 GB, maybe even 1 TB. And interestingly, the Pro XL might actually drop the 128 GB option starting at 256 GB.
Positioning it clearly as the top-tier choice right away.
Yeah, reinforcing that premium status.
The connectivity. What's new on the wireless front?
We're expecting the latest Wi-Fi 7 support. That means faster speeds, better performance, especially in crowded areas with lots of devices.
Nice.
Also updated Bluetooth 5.3 or maybe 5.4 for better connections with headphones, watches, all that. And importantly, that satellite connectivity for emergency SOS something Google quietly added before. That's confirmed to continue and probably get more capable.
So you can send emergency messages even with no cell signal. A good safety feature.
Definitely. Crucial for people who hike or travel in remote areas.
All right, let's talk cameras. This is always a huge deal for Pixel. Google's computational photography is legendary. What's the story for Pixel 10?
Well, the big news here might actually be for the standard Pixel 10. For the first time, it's rumored to get a triple rear camera system.
Triple camera on the base model. Wow.
Yeah, adding a dedicated telephoto zoom lens. The rumor is 5x optical zoom. That dramatically expands its versatility, bringing serious zoom capabilities down to the non-pro model. That's huge for everyday photographers.
That is huge, but I remember hearing something about sensor changes on that standard model. Is there a trade-off?
That's a sharp question. It looks like a strategic choice by Google. While the Pixel 10 gains that telephoto reach, its main camera might use a 50MP Samsung G8 sensor, and the ultra-wide a 13MP Sony IMX712. Now, technically, those sensors are slightly smaller in resolution and physical size compared to the ones in the Pixel 9, so on paper, you might think downgrade.
All right, the specs look a bit lower.
But Google's magic has always been in the software, the computational photography. It often makes up for hardware differences. We saw that with the Pixel 9a, similar sensors, still great photos. The strategy seems to be bring the full lens system, wide, ultra-wide telephoto to the base model, and rely on the powerful Tensor G5 and their software smarts to keep image quality excellent. Versatility over just raw sensor specs, perhaps.
Okay, that makes sense. And the Pro models, are they changing sensors too or refining?
The Pro and Pro XL cameras look like they'll largely stick with the same sensors as the Pixel 9 Pro. So that robust setup, 50MP main, 48MP ultra-wide, 48MP 5X telephoto.
So Google's happy with that hardware.
Seems so. The biggest improvements for the Pro models will likely come from software tuning, further optimization, and apparently a big focus on video stabilization.
Video. Pixels have been good, but maybe not always class-leading. What's changing?
This sounds like a major leap. The rumor is heavily improved video stabilization across the Pixel 10 series. Think handheld footage looking almost like it was shot on a gimbal. Super smooth.
That would be impressive.
Plus, 4K 60 frames per second HDR video recording is expected to be fully unlocked. That catches Pixel up, maybe even pushes it ahead in high dynamic range, high frame rate video. Great for creators, great for just capturing memories vividly.
Definitely needed.
Yeah.
What about those cool AI photo features? Magic Eraser was amazing. Any new tricks up Google's sleeve thanks to Tensor G5?
Oh yeah, this is where that on-device AI power really shines. Get ready for things like speak to tweak.
Speak to tweet.
Yeah, imagine just telling your phone, make the sky brighter or blur the background more, and the phone just does it based on your voice command.
Ooh, that's intuitive editing.
Massively intuitive. Then there's sketch to image, generating realistic images from simple doodles you draw. And something called Magic Mirror, which sounds intriguing, maybe real-time transformative effects. These features, running locally on Tensor G5, promise really powerful, accessible creative tools, making advanced editing easy for anyone.
Okay, so putting it all together, new chip, new AI, new cameras.
Yeah.
What does this mean for just using the phone day to day? It launches with Android 16, right?
Right. You'll be among the first with Android 16. And visually, we might see the next step in Google's design language, potentially called Material 3 Expressive. Expect more dynamic, personalized elements, even more fluid animations. But the real game changer, built on top of Android and deeply tied to that Tensor G5 AI, is something reportedly called Pixel Sense.
Pixel Sense. Sounds like Google Assistant on steroids. Tell me more.
Kind of, yeah. It's described as Google's next-gen assistant, but think less reactive, more proactive. It's designed to be deeply contextual and personalized. It integrates data from your Google Services calendar, Gmail, Maps, Chrome, maybe even learning your habits to offer real-time predictions and suggestions before you ask.
Like what? Give me an example.
Okay, maybe you arrive at the airport and Pixel Sense automatically surfaces your boarding pass without you needing to search for it. Or it sees you have a meeting and suggests a good time to leave based on traffic, maybe even offers to book a ride. It's anticipating your needs.
And this is happening mostly on the phone itself, for privacy and speed.
That's the key. Because of the Tensor G5's AI power, Pixel Sense is expected to run almost entirely on device. That's huge for privacy, less personal data going to the cloud. And it means responses should be incredibly fast, almost instantaneous. It'll likely be powered by a local version of Google's Gemini AI model, providing that proactive help even if you're offline. It's a big shift towards a truly intelligent, anticipatory phone.
That sounds like a fundamental change in how we interact with our phones.
Yeah.
And long-term value. That 7-year update promise is still holding, right?
Yes, absolutely. Google seems committed to that. The Pixel 10 series is expected to get 7 years of software updates that includes full OS upgrades and security patches.
That's huge.
It really is. It matches or beats pretty much everyone else, ensuring your phone stays current, secure, and gets new features for a very long time. Great for holding onto your device longer.
Okay, let's talk power and price. Battery life. With that new efficient chip, are we expecting improvements? And what's the cost for all this new tech?
On the battery side, yeah, things look promising. The standard Pixel 10 is rumored to get a little bump, maybe around 4,970 millireal, up from 4,700 in the Pixel 9. And the big Pixel 10 Pro XL could house Google's largest Pixel battery ever, potentially over 5,200 millireal.
Wow.
Combine that with the efficiency gains from that 3nm Tensor G5 chip. Yeah, you should see noticeably better all-day battery life, less battery anxiety.
Definitely needed. And charging speeds when you do need to plug in.
Getting better, too. Wired charging looks like maybe 29W for the Pro and a faster 39W for the Pro XL. Still not the absolute fastest out there, but solid improvements. Wireless charging is expected at 15W, but with Q2 support. That Q2 standard means more efficient wireless charging thanks to the magnetic alignment, similar to MagSafe.
And you can still use standard chargers.
Yeah, Google's sticking with the USB power delivery, USB PD, and PPS standards, so you can use lots of good third-party chargers and get those optimal speeds. Much more user-friendly than proprietary charging tech.
Okay, the big question, pricing. With all these upgrades, custom chip, better cameras, bigger lineup, are prices going up?
Surprisingly, it looks like Google might be holding the line quite aggressively. This seems like a key part of their strategy. The Pixel 10 is expected to start around €899 for 128 gigabit. The Pixel 10 Pro at $1,099 for 128 gigabit, and the Pixel 10 Pro XL at $12,299, but remember, likely starting at 256 gigabits of storage.
So the XL gets more base storage for that price.
Yeah.
Exactly, and the Pixel 10 Pro Fold, around $1,899, keeping it in the mix for foldables. So yeah, holding prices fairly steady despite significant hardware and AI improvements looks like a strong push for market share, offering value.
So there you have it, a really deep dive into what's coming with the Google Pixel 10 series and Android 16. It certainly feels like Google's aiming for a major step forward, doesn't it? Especially with that custom Tensor G5 chip and this whole Pixel Sense AI assistant idea. Whether it's the camera upgrades, that promise of super smooth video, or this idea of a phone that proactively helps you, it definitely sets the stage for what's next in mobile. And it does raise an interesting question for you, listening. As our phones get this smart, this integrated, how much more do you want them to anticipate and act for you? Where's that line? Something to think about. Before we wrap up, just one more word from our sponsor, StoneFly. Did you know StoneFly offers a 100 TB immutable and air-gapped SSO NAS for just $8,995? That's massive, secure storage for an incredible value, really designed for peace of mind. You can find out more at stonefly.com. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and stay well informed.